Director Zack Snyder has a passionate online fanbase who eagerly eats up anything he puts in front of them. Critics are less kind, with many dinging the director for his chronic self-seriousness and affinity for melodrama. And it seems like his latest project, Rebel Moon Part 1 – A Child of Fire, will be no different. First reactions to what effectively amounts to Snyder's take on Star Wars have begun pouring in on social media. While there are some bright spots, many viewers took the opportunity to dunk on the film. Mark Cassidy of the Roll Credits podcast didn't mince words on X, writing, "I wish I could say that I loved or even liked Rebel Moon, but after a promising first act, it launches itself off a cliff. Zack Snyder is more concerned with cool action scenes than establishing and ensuring we're invested in his characters." Matt Neglia of Next Best Picture had a similar opinion, posting, "Zack Snyder's clunky execution makes even the most basic drama feel tedious. Derivative sci-fi with unimpressive slow-mo action and dull characters."
We are beyond redemption.
It appears Rebel Moon may not win over any prior Snyder haters, as it seems to indulge in the director's most polarizing tendencies. These reactions also make an inauspicious beginning for what's supposed to be a new franchise, with many Rebel Moon spin-offs already planned. Perhaps no one was more critical than Eric Italiano from Bro Bible, who wrote on X, "Rebel Moon is the first movie I've walked out of in a long time. A stunning dearth of drama, aggressive over-direction, and bad acting throughout." Those first reactions were a troublesome sign of what was to come. Reviews have begun trickling into Rotten Tomatoes, with the first installment of Rebel Moon currently standing at a 26% positive rating with nearly 40 reviews. That number will undoubtedly change as more reviews come in, but it's clear Snyder movies remain as polarizing as ever. Alistair Ryder reviewed Rebel Moon for Looper and was much more forgiving than many other critics, giving the film a final score of 6 out of 10. He mentioned how, like Star Wars, it was obviously influenced by Kurosawa's Seven Samurai. But that's not a bad thing. Perhaps the biggest triumph of Rebel Moon is that despite wearing its biggest genre influence proudly on its sleeve and mimicking many of its trademarks, it never feels derivative of it. However, he also criticized the film for its use of sexual violence, an unfortunate trademark in Snyder's filmography. Jeremy Mathai was far less forgiving on Slash Film. He rated Rebel Moon 4 out of 10 and thought the movie collapsed under its own weight, writing, "Ultimately, Rebel Moon resembles little more than a grab-bag collection of world-building influences, mythology, and epic storytelling that we've seen done better many times before." So the first reactions to Rebel Moon could generously be described as mixed, but some critics seem to have enjoyed the sci-fi flick.
We might stand a chance.
That's the case of Molly Edwards of Total Film, who tweeted, "Okay, Rebel Moon is quite simply epic. Massive scale, beautiful visuals, of course, awesome action, and some really fascinating mythology. Rebel Moon Part 2 The Scargiver will be released on Netflix on April 19th, 2024. And this first movie seems to do a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of world building to get the sequel story where it needs to be. However, it's not just a sequel that people are looking forward to for a more satisfying character-driven tale. There's also the coveted R-rated director's cut of the first film, which has already been confirmed. Many critics view the version of Rebel Moon they saw as an appetizer, and they're just waiting for the main course. That's the case for Joseph Deckelmeyer of Screen Rant, who wrote on X, "I loved the action in Rebel Moon and this brilliant international cast, but I wish we spent more time with the Rebel recruits. Zack Snyder's director's cut is the version I want."